And now I've gone back into my old stuff, which is but I've newed it up, if that's the word. Refreshed it.
I like it. Keep it.
How to deliver confident presentations in front of any audience or in front of a camera. My aim is to help as many people overcome their fears of delivering presentations.
Power to Live More with Joe Dodds.
Welcome to the Power to Live More podcast, all about productivity, organisation, well-being, energy and resilience. I'm Jo Dodds, and I started this show to enable interesting people to share their stories about how they use their power to live more, and by that I mean to do the stuff that they want to do more than the stuff that they need to or should do. It's about creating a life for yourself where you have the energy, health and space to be happy and fulfilled, spending your time as you'd like, whether that be at work, home or somewhere else entirely. That's your choice.
Hello. My name is Ellie Dodds and I'm co-presenter, and today Joe is interviewing Hanieh Vidmar of HaniehVidmar.com. Hanieh was another of Paula Gardner's intros, though in this case Hanieh and Joe have actually met. Joe spoke for Paula at one of her events about productivity and Hanieh was there. They got on well and have since interviewed each other for their podcasts. Hanieh delivered her first presentation when she was 7 years old, and aged 13 she won the first prize in a public speaking competition. Ever since her first presentation, she went on to deliver many more, including live television, investment pitches and winning several contracts, red carpet events, celebrity interviews and many more. She loves everything to do with public speaking and is on a mission to help as many people overcome their fears of speaking in front of an audience. She lives in London with her husband and son. Back to the studio.
Today I'm interviewing Hanieh Vidmar of Hanieh Vidmar. So how are you, Hanieh? Great to have you with me.
Good. Thank you so much, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Lovely. So start by telling us a bit about who you are and what you do.
So my name is Hanieh Vidmar, as you said. I'm a TV presenter and speaker by nature and by history. And I've been delivering, I delivered my first presentation when I was 7. I've done loads of TV work, loads of hosting, loads of events, workshop designing. And now I've gone back into my old stuff, which is but I've newed it up, if that's the word. Refreshed it.
I like it. Keep it.
How to deliver confident presentations in front of any audience or in front of a camera. My aim is to help as many people overcome their fears of delivering presentations.
Lovely. So how did you get into it so early?
Well, I was 7 and I was in primary school, and the teacher just randomly said, or she organised it or whatever. She said, tomorrow, if you guys want, you can deliver a presentation about anything for 5 minutes. And I just was so excited, and I just knew for some reason that I had to do this. I was so excited at the thought of delivering a presentation that I went home that night. I designed my presentation. I made it about fish and sharks. And the next day when I went to school, I delivered it. And I remember feeling really excited. I remember feeling really proud of myself afterwards. But I don't remember the content. But ever since that day, I have been in love with everything to do with presentations. And I don't know where my love came from. It was just there, I guess. And that's how it all began.
Lovely. My daughter's a bit like that. She's into doing her presentations. I think not as much anything else, because it was easier to do PowerPoint presentations than it was to write when she had choices as to whether to write something or create a presentation. But I should be a bit worried that she was very put out when her debating club didn't get round to doing the 2 debates that she was getting all geared up for. I hope it's not a career in politics. I'd hope she'd grow out of it, but clearly not.
Yeah, if she's happy in that, debating, I think it's great. To be confident in the debate in front of people is it's a skill, and it's great.
So things obviously have developed over your career, and you're doing things connected with what you did to begin with, but different. Why do you do what you do? What drives you to have your own business and do the things that you do?
I love it. I love being in control of all my own tasks and my own projects. I love standing in front of people and talking. I get such a buzz from it. I used to, every time I did television, when the camera stopped rolling and I came out of the studio, I was on a high, this natural high that I could only get from doing some sort of presentation. And like I said, I love being in charge of my own timetable, in charge of my own day. I love creating stuff and putting it out there. It's what my passion is. It drives me because I totally and thoroughly enjoy and love it. And I think that's literally exactly what it is, and nothing more than that.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a bit about how you prioritise what you do in your work and in your life. So obviously you do stuff that you enjoy a lot by the sound of it. How do you decide what you're going to spend your time doing?
Well, I prioritise. I have a 3-year-old, so he gets priority number one. Because he's only 3, obviously I've had to learn a lot about priority in the last 3 years, and every year it changes, or every month it changes the older he gets. So it's all about what's more important and what needs attention immediately. So for example, he goes to nursery 3 days a week. So on those 3 days, I do everything that doesn't need that where he doesn't need my attention. And that's my work. That's me, doing all the things that I need to do for me to put a success in my business. And again, that's for me to measure myself, what's more important. And I literally do the things. And don't get me wrong, I was never, being a mum has kind of thrown me off my timetable a little bit. So I've had to learn how to be organized. So I do the thing that's the most important, whatever it is, first. I get those things out of the way so I can enjoy the rest of the tasks. When my son is at home, it's very, very impossible. Very impossible for me to do anything work-wise. So it's literally everything to do with him, his timetable, his football. And when he's doing his football, if I can do a couple of things on my phone because I'm in the same room as him, I'll try and do it. If I can't, then it's going to have to wait until my son is either at nursery or sleeping. But whatever I do immediately, that's the first thing that I will do, whatever I can, whatever time and my environment allows me to do.
I love the way you really underplayed that. Your line was something like, since having a child, it's thrown my schedule a little bit.
A lot of it.
Excellent. So how do you make all that happen? How do you make sure you get things done? How do you keep track of what you're supposed to be doing and when you're going to do it?
Well, I try not to overwhelm myself with too much. I don't like to overwhelm myself. I think that's the one thing I've learned is to do one task, one errand a day, let's say. So if I have to go, for example, to dry cleaners and to the post office, if they're close by, then I'll do them both together. If not, if it's one thing that I can do today, then I will leave the other thing for tomorrow, not to overwhelm myself. And if my son has nursery and he has to wake up early, I like to wake up half an hour before him, or at least 20 minutes before him, so that I can, brush my teeth, have my shower, do whatever I need to do before he wakes up, so I'm ready for him. Then when he wakes up, I deal with his things, and then we go to the nursery, and I like to drop him off at 8:30, so I can be back by 9 to have breakfast and then kickstart my day and do all the things that I need to do. But it really is about organizing my time by doing a lot of things solo, as much as I can solo. And one of the best things that I've done, or I do, is waking up earlier than everybody else to give myself that space and time to basically do my own things. Yeah.
So do you have a to-do list or an app or something for you to know what's coming up next?
I do. Yes, I do. I use 2 apps, and they're not any special apps or any of these apps that people have downloaded ever before. It's literally the apps in my phone, the notes and my calendar. Okay. As soon as something comes up, if I have, i.e. this podcast interview or a doctor's appointment, I put it in my phone straight away. That's immediately. So I literally don't forget it. And I check my diary every single day about what's coming up for the week ahead, so I can organize myself well in advance, or what's coming up tomorrow so I can organize myself. Also, my notes, I make notes, but I have got so many notes in my phone that I've just gone beyond deleting them now. It's just too many to delete. I make notes for everything. If I need to buy something, if I need to do something, if I need to call somebody, I will use notes. So when I go through my notes at the end of the day or first thing in the morning, I kind of get an idea. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, yes, I remember this. So those are the 2 apps that I live by, notes and calendar. Without those, I will be totally lost. And I do like writing things down as well, but I don't like paper diaries anymore because my phone is constantly in my hand. It's constantly in front of me. It's the first thing I grab when I want to check something or do something. So those two apps are the most useful apps to me. I put everything in there: doctor appointments, birthday parties, podcasts, meetings, everything.
I was so organised yesterday. I put in on my to-do list, phone Linda, and I've gone through my contacts and I have no idea who Linda is. So I think it might have been an autocorrect that I didn't notice at the time, and it hasn't come to me yet.
Yeah. Oh God, some Linda in some realm is waiting for you to call her.
I do think I must be going a bit mad, because there was a email Catherine as well, and I had to look through my contacts until I found the person and then worked out what it was all about. So there were 2 to-do things that I'd completely forgotten just in less than 24 hours. So I'm intrigued with the notes. Do you have a sort of system for how you create them and how you keep notes so that you sort of know what you're supposed to be doing? Because I think about the app that I use for my task list, which is Todoist, and I use Asana as well for getting stuff done. And they have obviously an infrastructure, and I'm forever tweaking it so that I get to see what I need to see when I need to see it. And it sort of strikes me having less structure for me probably wouldn't work, because things would just get lost. Do you have a system for that, or is it just that it just works for you because you remember what you've put where, sort of thing?
Well, if I've just opened my notes app, and the top one is a number 1, whatever that means. The second one says tissues, so obviously that was a shopping list that I had.
Not just me then.
Yeah, one of them further down says downsizing, because I put a note in my phone that I remember that I want to watch the film Downsizing.
Right.
So I link notes for everything. I don't have a system. I just write it down in my notes. And I know that the top 10 notes that I can see on my screen are the ones that have some importance. And when I go shopping, I open my notes of all of my shopping list, and I delete things as I go along. So then I know that slowly, this list will be completely empty. Then I could technically delete it, or it doesn't show anything. Yeah. I don't have them, but I do write everything down. And I would go mental. I don't want to jinx it if I lost my phone. And I did once, and I literally and I had to email as many people and say, look, I've lost my phone. If I have a meeting, can you please remind me when it is? Because I live by this, but I don't have a system. It's just whatever comes in my mind, it goes down in my notes or into my diary.
Yeah. Well, top tip on that is to make sure that you're syncing your calendar and your notes via iCloud, so that if you lose your phone, it doesn't matter.
I know. And I have so many emails in my phone, and I don't want to move things around now, where some emails are linked to my work calendar and some emails are linked to my diary. And I don't. And then when I lost my phone before, I didn't know which email was linked to when I couldn't log in. I had the login, I forgot which one it was, so I had to start all over again. Oh, no. But I totally agree with you. I need to sync everything.
I did manage to lose my phone twice in 1 year, having never lost it in my life before or since.
Oh my God.
Luckily, I have insurance, and luckily it was all synced, so I didn't lose anything. But it was rather traumatic.
Is because the phone itself can be replaced. It's the content and the information in your upcoming meetings that is literally irreplaceable. And definitely syncing is definitely the thing I need to do. I'm going to make a note now, sync phone.
Yes, take an action, Hanieh. It's funny, I was just thinking about the 2 occasions I lost my phone in the same year were on holiday on both occasions. I wonder if it's the universe telling me I needed to stop working whilst I was on holiday.
As well. On holiday, your phone should only be used for taking pictures and enjoying and music or whatever.
Exactly.
No work.
I had an enforced digital detox. So, are there any other apps or tools that you use for anything?
I'm just looking at my phone now, and I don't think so. It's just, honestly, the ones that I use every day are just my diary, my notes. I don't have any other notes to keep me organized. I'm mainly those 2.
Yeah, no, and it's always about what works for you. What is personal for you, and what works. And if it doesn't need to work for other people, it doesn't need to fit in with other people's ideas of how it should be. It's really what actually helps you to get the stuff done, isn't it?
Exactly. And like, people have told me loads of tips about being organized more, and I don't download them, because like you said, this is what works for me. And if I have anything else, it just gives me more things to do, and I'd rather just what I can do and what helps me, as I advise for everyone else. What helps you, do it.
Yeah, exactly. So what about other people helping you? Do you get people helping you to get stuff done? Do you outsource anything? Do you delegate? Do you have people who take some of the stuff away that you don't enjoy doing so much?
Well, it's not about not enjoying this particular thing. I have a cleaner because I would rather put my time and energy into other things. So I do have a cleaner who comes in once, twice a week to get the boring stuff done. You know, the iron. Actually, I love ironing, but I just can't do it anymore. So I do. You know, I delegate that. If I really can't do something for my son, if I have to take him somewhere but I can't take him, then I tell my husband or my sister, or if those fail, then it will be my nanny, who also kind of moonlights as my cleaner, who also is also a nanny as well. So I delegate whatever I can. I try not to overwhelm myself. So if I need help, I'm more than happy to delegate it. But when it comes to my son, because obviously he's my child, I can't just give him to any last minute person. So I like to plan ahead to make sure that everybody knows where they are. If something last minute comes up, like it did this weekend, then I'll ask my parents to maybe come pick up my son, who then take him there, so that I can have one day of uninterrupted time of any problems, because he will be there the whole day, and make sure he's eating on time and everything. Or I take him to a nursery for a day, an extra day in the week. Yeah. But I do, because at the end of the day, I'm a human and I can't do everything. But it's nice to have a support team around me just in case something comes up, and usually it does, where I need to shift things around and have someone to take on some of the tasks. And I'm happy to delegate to the right person.
Yes, yeah. So what about relaxing? How do you ensure you have your own time?
Well, when it comes to being a mum, sometimes even having a shower, I'm not alone. So I have an audience, which is, before I fell pregnant, I was very like, how is that possible? But then it's very, very possible. Or if I lock the door, I'm having a conversation with people behind the door. So I've tried now to make sure that I do get me time. And that is, number one, I like to sleep early at night. If it's an hour after my son goes to bed, where I like to get into bed and read a book. Just no phones. I've stopped using my phone at the end of the day. And for me time is half an hour before I sleep to read a book that I want to read. And it's not a business book. It's a story book about something that I enjoy. Another thing that I love doing is baths. Having a half an hour bath before I sleep as well helps me relax, read my book. And it's just me time where it's uninterrupted. Other things I enjoy, I love massages. I love, walking by myself. And just, doing something that doesn't involve anybody else, whereas the program I'm going to watch, read my book, but I try to implement this time because I think it's really important to switch off, even if it's half an hour or 15 minutes a day. It's super important to get that time.
And how do you make sure you have that time? Because sometimes we say that it's important, but it's the thing that sort of ends up getting pushed out when other things get in the way. Do you have a way of keeping it in your routine?
Yeah, I like to plan things the day before. So I like to plan or 2 days in advance, even what we're going to have for dinner, so that I know that, okay, on Wednesday, we're going to have dinner at 6 o'clock. It's going to be this. I'm going to start preparing at 4 o'clock. So that when my son's at home from nursery, dinner's ready, he plays a little bit, get him into bed before 8, and then have my time afterwards. If something happens, i.e. if he's sick, then he usually sleeps in the bed with me. In which case it means that I have to sleep as well because he's not well. And that happened recently where he vomited right before bedtime, and that kind of turned things around. But I try to organize everything in advance so I know what's going to happen. I know what I'm cooking. I know where I'm going to be and what time I need to be there, so that I can plan even some me time as well, by knowing, okay, if Maxie comes home from nursery 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever, we'll be eating by 6, playing until 7, and bath and reading time and bed by 8 o'clock, and me have a bath at 9. If something more important comes up, i.e. some work, then I can have my bath, for example, my me time bath the following night, or I go to bed half an hour later and read for less time. So I try to plan everything in advance so I can fit myself in as well. Just like you would fit in, something for someone else and you will stick to that time, it's good to put you in a diary and stick to it and not let anything else happen. If, for example, if you want to go for a massage, for example, unless something super important comes up, you will not cancel it, and you shouldn't cancel it. So it's just about prioritizing your own mentality and your own well-being to make sure that you're staying on top of your game. And it's important to put that in there. For me, it's about prioritizing and planning ahead.
Yes, yeah, it's coming off in spades that you're structured and pre-planning, which I guess is why it happens.
Exactly, and I sometimes I actually do put bath time in my diary. Baths. So that I am thinking about myself, so that I can tick that box.
Yeah, I love that. So what about other stuff around keeping healthy? So you've talked a bit about sleep. What about nutrition, exercise, making sure you've got enough energy for everything you need? What else do you do? Some of it obviously is about the relaxation. It is about the me time, definitely.
Yeah, another thing is sleeping early, 0 alcohol. I've totally, some people like to have a glass of wine, to relax. But for me, after having my son, alcohol treats me not as fun as it used to. My hangovers are 20 times worse, and it just throws me off. So I've cut out alcohol completely, because with alcohol, it removes my energy the next day. So that's completely gone. I'm not so much into partying, so I like to get early nights. I like eating healthy, so planning my food in advance. I like to, I've recently had some gluten, and I had breakfast, some toast for breakfast, and suddenly it just dropped my energy. So I've cut out gluten completely. It's all about knowing a selection of things that you can eat and you enjoy eating, and just stick to those, so you don't spend too long thinking about all the foods that you want to eat, or you want to eat, or you like to eat. It's about knowing, okay, for lunch, some protein and a salad, like chicken and salad. For breakfast, I only eat either salmon and, for example, egg, a poached egg, or I eat a gluten-free toast with scrambled eggs. I keep things simple. I don't have to have a massive food diary in front of me. I like to keep things simple, knowing a handful of things I enjoy eating, and that's quick to cook. I don't like to spend too long cooking a lunch where I could be doing other things. So I like to keep it simple and healthy, and planning in advance, again, is what helps me. I take supplements as well. I like taking B vitamins because it helps with your brain power. And again, just, making sure that I remember me more than anything. And it's important that my son's happy, my husband's happy, my family's happy, but to make them happy, I need to look after number one, and that's me. And then when I've done my thing, which doesn't take long, I only ask for very little, then I can please everybody else.
Very good. So what about learning and improving yourself? You sound like you're so full of energy, and that's obviously you are planning. You must have got some time planned in for self-improvement as well.
Yeah, I do. I love watching certain videos. I've subscribed to like some pages on Facebook who give me some people will do Facebook Live or some uploaded video that I'll watch. And again, I will look at the duration of the video. If it's a 2-hour video, obviously I'm not going to watch it in one go or at all. So I like these short burst videos that people do to give me some inspiration, to kickstart my day. Or simply, if I want to do some self-development, I love reading. Books are my favorite thing. That's why I said before that I only read at nighttime books that are about stories that I enjoy. Stories and fiction. That's the correct one, isn't it? Fiction. Yeah, fiction. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or if I want to read something for self-improvement, it'll be a business book or something to do with self-development and motivation. And I'll read those during the day because I'm in the mentality of business and work. But in the end, at the end of the day, for me to switch off, it's a storybook, or one of my son's storybooks, obviously, because they take up my time too.
I can recommend Stickman. That's our favorite.
I was going to say Charlie and the Dinosaur is, things like this take up my reading time too. But for self-development and self-improvement, I love books with a motivational message and watching productivity things on the internet. I like to use my internet time for things that are important and not just scrolling through people's Instagram feed, which is a total waste of time. So I subscribe to things that matter to me and what will help me improve my productivity, my mentality, my business, and everything else that's important for self-improvement.
Yes. Have you got any books that you'd recommend? Your sort of one you always tell people about?
God, there's a woman a woman I came across last year. Her name is Dory Clark, and her books, Entrepreneurial You, however you say it, and Rebranding You. These are 2 books that have totally changed the way I think and do things since last summer. So check out her books. There's so many other books. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head. I like anything to do with law of attraction, about, you know, using your brain positively. Whether the law of attraction is real or not, I like the idea of reading positive books about how to use the mind more positive.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, I would probably say Dory Clark. If you really want to shift your business and go into the online world, and she talks about podcasting and blogging and everything to do with the online business, online industry, I'd say Dory Clark at the moment. I recommend her.
Lovely. Now, I've not come across that. I will go and check that out forthwith.
Yeah.
So, do you have any morning or evening routines or habits or rituals other than what we've already talked about? Obviously, you said you like to get up earlier than your family, and you have your bath and your bedtime reading. That sounds like the thing you do for your children, you do for yourself. I do the same. Are there any...
I keep telling my son, look, go to have a nap now. It's too, like, he has an afternoon nap still. And I wish somebody would push me to have an afternoon nap. Yeah. So I'm trying to mirror the things that I would do as a child to help me relax and help with brain power. So yeah, absolutely. You know, these are things that kids do, but definitely something that we should do forever. So, you know, very important. But in terms of my routine, no, apart from waking up early, if it's half an hour early before everyone else, to get that time for me to organize myself and get my things together. Also, and sleeping an hour early in the evening as well, to make sure I've got the energy to take on the next day. So apart from early things, doing things earlier than everyone else, I don't really do anything else. No other routines.
Sounds good enough to me already.
It's enough. It's more than I can manage.
Yeah. So what about if things don't go right? What about those days where it all goes a bit pear-shaped? How do you cope with that?
Well, I think, again, going back to being a mum, the one thing that goes pear-shaped is if my son has the temperature or something, and then obviously things need to be put on hold. You know, honestly, apart from what can you do, you just got to deal with it. I don't really have any other advice. If I have a really important meeting and I really can't get out of it, no matter what's happened, or an important event or something, then I'll again turn to my husband, or he's working as well, so it's not so easy, but my sister or my parents, obviously, and I'll say, look, can anyone come and look after me for a few hours? I just have to think on my feet. It's good to have contingency plans in place for everything should something go wrong. And for me, unless it's to do with my son, I don't really have other contingency plans, because my son's the most important thing. So it's literally, look, if you're not well and I don't have nothing else to do apart from sit at home and work on my computer, then of course I'll be the one looking after him in full mode. If it's an important event that I simply cannot get out of and something goes wrong, then I'll ask someone to step in for me. But it's just about asking people to support you in certain things, but plan it ahead. Plan, even if something happens in 10 years' time, have a plan. Everything starts today, and in order to plan for tomorrow and onwards. So just have plans in place should something go wrong, and execute it.
What about mindset? What about if things aren't going right and your head's not there? I mean, it's one thing sort of thinking about practical sort of considerations, but those days where you just feel meh.
Well, last November in 2016, I got really sick and I was just really unhappy, and I think I was trying to do too much. And I started, Googling symptoms, and it turned out that it came up with adrenal fatigue. But then I researched further, and somebody suggested that maybe I'm burnt out. So I thought, okay, maybe I am burnt out. But I was really mentally, I was not in a good place. I just felt like I've loved this life. And then I had to stop. And I thought to myself, okay, now I need to fix this. What do I need to do? So I started to look after myself more. And it's not selfish to do so. In fact, it's selfless, because in order to feed other people and help other people, you need to be happy. And what I had to do was to start looking after myself. And that's when I started to go to bed earlier and, cutting out all the nonsense from my life, like all the excessive partying. I mean, it wasn't even, after I had my kid, I didn't, party at all. But all the, I don't drink alcohol at all. So it was literally about looking after yourself internally, more fruit, supplements, early night, and reading positive books, and stop watching junk on the television. It's just literally about knowing what to eliminate and look after yourself. So yeah, I still have meh days, especially when, I'm a woman, time of the month, you feel like totally like I'm not going to deal with anything today or this week. But such is life. You just need to know that, yes, things do go wrong. Things do hurt, things are stressful. It's just about knowing what to do when it happens. And for me, it's about stopping, reevaluating the situation and just putting me in the center and saying, okay, now it's time for me to relax, and that's what I'm going to do. And nothing else is going to come, in my relaxing time. Just know what to prioritize.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting to hear that a lot of the structure that we've talked about has come from it not working so well in the past. I think a lot of us are in that situation, and that's really where Power to Live More business came from, having had, I've said before, deaths in the family, but also a personal middle of the night seizure that was, around not sleeping enough and not eating properly and, drinking too much and all that sort of stuff. And it's funny, isn't it, that however much we know, however much we are told, and however much we sort of are aware of the fact that we should look after ourselves, quite often it takes that sort of wake up call, doesn't it, personally, for it to really embed.
Exactly. Now, if you had told me your story like 10 years ago, I would have ignored it, right? I would have said, you know what? It's not going to happen to me. I'm good. I'm going to continue partying and drinking. Everybody's different. But when I burnt out and I started feeling really unwell, the first thing I did was tell everybody I met, even strangers, please take time for yourself. Look after yourself. Put yourself first. Cut this out. Cut that out. They're not going to listen to me. Most likely, 99% of the time, they never do, if not more. But it's when it happens to you that you realize, oh my God, wake up, smell the coffee and change things. And that's what happened to me. And, and I keep telling everyone else, put time for you. Don't use your phone all day. Don't look at your phone last thing at night while you're lying in bed in the dark. If you think about it, since mobile phones were invented and came out, the rise of anxieties and depression is so much more. All the social media taking up our brain spaces and all the constantly looking at your phone instead of picking up a book. These little things, these small changes can make a big change in your life. And it wasn't until it really happened to me when I realized, okay, now things need to change. And I actually changed them. And now I'm 10 times better mentally, physically, in a better place. Because I had to, even because I've got a child, so I had to make big changes regardless. And it worked and it helped, and I recommend it to everyone. Yeah,
lovely. So what about a day when you end the day knowing that you've had the chance to live more? And I say that living more is about having the chance to do more of the things you want to do and not the things that you feel you have to do or that you should do. So what does that day look like? What have you done?
Wow. I think for me, it's about my personal development. So at the moment, I'm learning Spanish, and I think it's by just doing the little small things and just making sure everything goes productively. So if I have a day where I fit in 20 minutes of Spanish, whether it's a reading or a listening or speaking or writing or whatever, I feel, and having the time to go to bed early and do things according to my plan, then I feel like I've achieved, because everything that I plan in my life is things I really want to do. So for me, if everything that I've planned has gone to plan and I've done all the things, even the little tiny boring things, but they need to be done, then I feel like I've achieved my day. If something doesn't go to plan and I procrastinate, which I hate doing, but sometimes it happens, then I feel like I failed, and I need to redo certain things, and I need to behave better or act differently in order to have a day where I can actually confidently go to bed saying, okay, I've done it, let's do it again tomorrow. And for me, it's just about my little tiny goals that I have in place to make sure I accomplish them on a daily basis.
Yes, yeah, lovely. So we've come to the end of the interview. Thank you for joining me, Hanieh. Tell people how they can find out more about you and connect with you.
They can go to my website, which is haniehvidmar.com. Do you want me to spell it, or you probably write it?
Good. Go on then. I will write it too, but go on, spell it for those listeners.
I know I have the weirdest name in the world. It's HANIEHVIDMAR.com. You can also find me by the same name on Instagram, Twitter, and my Facebook page as well. And so let's connect on there. If public speaking is your thing, then let's connect.
Lovely. Thank you. Really appreciate you joining me. All this information is available on the show notes if you go to powertolivemore.com/ in this case 52, and the website is the place to go if you want to find out how I can help you to improve your productivity, organisation, wellbeing, energy and resilience, your power to live more, and that's where you get to do more of what you want to do. You can do various things like join my mailing list or follow me on social media, read some of the content that's on the website. If you'd like to work on getting something done with ease that you perhaps already know you want to do, but you're struggling to get started, and certainly to keep up that momentum and really sort of power through and get whatever it is that you want to do done, then you might be interested in looking at my Get Stuff Done with Power accountability system. If you go to getstuffdonewithpower.com, then you can find out more about how that might be able to help you to get whatever it is, as I say, that you already know you need to get done over a 28-day period. If whatever it is takes less time than that, then obviously you can add more stuff in. But certainly if you've got something that you know you would benefit from doing a little bit every day to sort of power through whatever it is, then check out getstuffdonewithpower.com to find out how I can help you to do that. Again, the show notes for this show are at powertolivemore.com/52, and we look forward to speaking to you next time.
Use your power to live more.